Hello do-it-yourselfers, I'm Terry Peterman, the Internet Electrician. Welcome to another one of my video shorts on current topics. Let's get started. In this video, we're going to look at another bathroom fan. We've got a problem with this one, but the timing probably isn't all that bad because the last bathroom fan video I did was a while ago and with a non-HD camera and not near as good a sound. So let's do a video on finding out what's wrong with this fan. Just have a listen when I turn it on. We got a problem. So I'll go get the ladder. We'll pull this one down and see what we can find. Well, the hardest part of this job, I'm hoping the hardest part anyway, was probably getting the ladder into the proper position. This bath fan is in the very top of a vaulted ceiling inside our water closet, inside the master ensuite. So to work a ladder into here so that I can work on this thing was no easy chore. I had to lean it against the cabinetry. I've got the back leg propped against the wall, so it's nice and safe. There's nowhere for it to fall, but I think I'm ready to take apart that fan and see what we have. I've worked my way into place here. Now, as with most bath fans, the grill is probably on spring clips, so you just pull it down and you reach in and pinch the spring clips together. I'll do the back one first and then do the front. A slot they're in, so you have to work that clip out of the slot by pinching them together, and then they'll release, and there you go. So I'm going to get a good close-up here for you as to how we remove this fan. Now the blades seem to spin freely, so I'm going to try that switch one more time. Yeah, sounds like we got a broken shading coil or something's wrong anyway, so we might as well just replace this thing. They're not worth trying to service. So you'll have to excuse me if the camera's a little bit shaky here. I'm holding it by hand instead of using a tripod because I wanted to get a nice tight shot of this so you can see how to take this apart. Now you can shut the breaker off, you can turn off the wall switch, but really those steps aren't that necessary. The switch should be off, but this is no more electrically dangerous than unplugging a lamp from a wall socket. You got a two-prong plug here and a two-prong receptacle inside the housing. Inside here is the junction box where the wires are tied on, so you really don't come into contact with any wiring whatsoever when you take this fan apart. Now if you look here on the side, on one side I have 3 tabs that are stuck into the housing, and on the other side there's 1 tab. And then there's a retaining screw that the electrician in this case looks like he didn't bother installing. Not much chance of this shaking out of the outlet box or out of the housing. But to get this apart then, if that screw was there, you remove it. It's right here is where that would be. It would be just a small little metal screw. And then just take a pry bar, small pry bar, even a screwdriver would do it, and pull the fan. Pull that tab out of its slot that it's in. So continuing to show you just how to work that fan out of the housing. Pry. Still fighting back. There it is. Now it's out of the housing. We're going to get a make and model off of this and off to the hardware store to try to find a replacement in kind. So obviously now when you've got the fan assembly out of the housing itself, it's a great time to clean things up. There's always dust buildup in here, so we'll vacuum that out with a soft bristle brush. While I was in here though, I decided I would check the flapper. Now the flapper is what should open up when there's airflow and shut to prevent any air from coming back in through the venting. Well, I notice here on my housing, this flapper isn't moving. It's jammed stuck So I'm going to have to figure out what's wrong with it, free it up. And if I have to, I'll just remove the flapper because I'd rather have egress airflow than no airflow whatsoever. So let me see what's wrong with that. Well, I figured out what was wrong. It took a little bit of force to push it, but it was just stuck. It must have been just gummed up. I'm not sure why over the years, but maybe from the factory it's never been broke loose because it did take quite a bit of force to push that flap in. But as you can see now, I'll try to get my big fat hand out of there. And you can see now it freely opens and closes on its own as it should with gravity, so that when the airflow stops, the flapper stops. But that was jammed stuck. There's no way we were exhausting any air with this fan. So taking a closer look at this fan now that I've got it down on the ground, you can see that bushing is completely gone. Look at how I can rock the shaft back and forth. And when I plug it into an outlet, it just jams tight against the side of the bearing housing or the bushing housing, and it's of course stuck, and then makes that buzzing sound. So there's no fixing this, as I suspected. We're going to go find us a new one. And while I have this down on the ground too, where you can see better, just to give you a close-up of those metal clips. So you pinch them together, they slide up into a slot, and then as you release them, you shove the grill back up into place and those expand into the slot. So that's why when you pull it down, you just pull it straight down. They hit on those four rings. Then you got to squeeze them in, pull it down, and remove the grill. So in my last bath fan replacement video, we actually replaced the entire fan assembly that fits into the housing. Now I went to a local hardware store here and they didn't have the exact fan assembly, so he sold me a motor. Now this is a Brown motor, but they are both 50 CFM and the mounting bolts matched. So what we're going to do is just remove these mounting bolts, install the new fan motor. As you can see, the holes line up, and put on the new impeller that came with this fan, and we should have a fix. So what we've got to start off by doing is removing these two nuts. Found a 7mm socket was the right one. Set those aside. And now we've got to mount the impeller onto the shaft of this motor and bolt that back into the frame. So there's the old motor and fan blade. Removed that. I've mounted the new one into the frame. Put the new impeller onto the shaft. Now just tighten down these two nuts. Nice and snug. Okay, we're ready to go mount this back up in the housing. First though, we're going to plug it in and just make sure everything is good. Okay, before we go back up that ladder, let's just try this in a regular outlet to make sure it runs smoothly. And it does, nice and quiet. No wobble. Let's go put it back in place. Okay, so I'm back in place here, ready to put the fan in. Again, you line up the 3 slots. I guess there's only 2 slots on the one side. And then push the fan assembly back up into the housing. And I am going to put in that retaining screw that was left out before. Okay, plug it back in. And as I showed you, those clips slide into the slot, one side first, then the other. I could get right under it, I wouldn't have to go by feel, but right now I'm pretty much going by feel. There, it's in. And then shove your grill right back up into place. And now we'll go give it a try. Okay, so there's a nice tight shot of the fan. I'm going to turn it on now. And that's a good sound. And now here's a test to make sure your fan is actually pulling air out of the room, which I can almost guarantee this one wasn't, being that flapper was stuck. And I'm not sure if that was from factory, that it was stuck with a piece of plastic from manufacturing process or what, but it definitely was not moving the flap before. So now we just throw that tissue up there, and definitely we're moving air. Holds that tissue right in place. So this should be much better. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something useful from this video. My goal is to help you out with your small home electrical projects or minor repairs, and to help you complete them both safely and competently. Please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel here. And for more helpful information, visit my website at electrical-online.com. And if you'd like to learn more about home electrical, my program, The Basics of Household Wiring, is simply the best electrical educational information you will find. And it's available as a DVD or an instant download. I also use this information as the core material for my best-selling course at udemy.com called Learn the Basics of Household Wiring, the Electrical System A to Z. And of course, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. But what if you need help with something right away? I'm one of the experts on the Magnify app. That's Magnify with an I. You download the app and search for the Internet Electrician from your smartphone. You can get instant assistance. And I'm also a certified expert on the JustAnswer.com team. There are links below in the description here to everything that I've told you about. So until next time, thanks for watching. I'm Terry Peterman, the Internet Electrician.